Yes, Mr. Fitzsimmons told me about it, about his meeting, but there was no special message there. I just heard once again that the Ukrainian side, Mr. Zelensky, is ready to hold a personal meeting. Yes, I heard that, but we hear it not for the first time. Well, what can I say in this regard? We have never refused, and I have not refused. I do not propose this meeting, but if someone does, please let them come. Those who want to meet, let them come to Moscow. We will meet. You can meet in a third country, but only if there are final agreements on the peace treaty, which should be designed for a long historical perspective. To participate in this event, or to sign something, but this must be the final point and not the negotiations themselves. Because we know what it is, the negotiations themselves, I personally went through this well in Minsk during the development of the Minsk agreements. Well, this can be talked about for hours, endlessly, day and night, senselessly. It is necessary for the specialists to work, to do everything, so that it is clear to both sides that the agreements are fully agreed. Well, in this case, you can meet anywhere, to sign or to be present at the signing. Can we talk about Ukraine? Well, you can, please. Alexander Unisov, hello, Vladimir Vladimirovich. Happy holiday to you. Good evening. And in connection with what you said about the negotiations, how do you generally feel about the continuation of the Ukrainian settlement together with the Americans? The pause was delayed since the last negotiations were in winter. And given that Rubio said that maybe it is not worth spending time on this at all. Listen, this is primarily about Russia and Ukraine. If someone wants to help us and does this, and we see that today's U.S. administration and the U.S. president are sincerely, I want to emphasize this, sincerely striving for settlement. They clearly do not need this conflict. They have many other priority tasks, then we are only grateful to them for this. But this is primarily about Russia and Ukraine. Good evening, Pavel Zarubin, Russian TV channel. The most important world topic for 2.5 months is, of course, the events around Iran. In your opinion, how can the situation develop further in the Middle East, in the Persian Gulf? And is there, in your opinion, a real prospect of a peace agreement between the US and Iran? And I can't help but ask such a question. You recently said that the terrorist threat is growing, meaning the Kyiv regime. And we see that such strikes are taking place in very remote cities from the border, like Yekaterinburg, Perm, recent events in Cheboksary. Isn't the West allowing itself too much? After all, in the West, they themselves admit that without their support, the Kyiv regime would not have existed for several days. What is the West? This is the so-called, I think, globalist direction of the Western elites. They are fighting with us, with the hands of the Ukrainians. And, of course, they are doing well in this regard. They provoked this conflict. I told you where it started. I didn't come up with anything about the initial point of view. Strangely enough, the question was whether Ukraine would join the EU. For God's sake, let them join. But it came to an armed conflict. And why? Because everyone wanted to spit on the interests of Russia. Moreover, trying to use Ukraine as a tool to achieve their geopolitical goals, these Western figures deceived everyone. They are publicly talking about this now, and they began to deceive us about the expansion of NATO to the east in the early 1990s. We were told then that NATO would not take a step to the west. So what? Where? And all this, combined, provoked the current situation. So they are fighting with us. But, I repeat, it has become clear to everyone, with the hands of the Ukrainians. We recently talked to our colleagues and recalled how it all unfolded. After all, we agreed with the Ukrainians in 2022 in Istanbul. We approved the agreement. Then one colleague, to be honest, Mr. Macron, called me. He said that Ukraine cannot sign such documents, historically, with a gun at its head. This is a direct speech. We have a record of the conversation. And what should we do? Well, we should withdraw troops from Kyiv. Well, they did. And then another representative of the show business, the then Prime Minister of Great Britain, came. And what did he say? You cannot sign this agreement. It is not fair. And who determines whether it is fair or not? If the representative of the negotiating group on the Ukrainian side profiled these documents, why is it not fair here? Who determines this? Well, everything is great. They promised help and began to stir up a confrontation with Russia, which continues to this day. I think it is coming to an end. But still, this is a serious matter. The question arises, why? First, we have been waiting for the crushing defeat of Russia, we know well. The collapse of statehood within a few months. It does not work. And then we got into this trap and cannot get out of it in any way. This is the problem. Although there are certainly smart people there, those who certainly understand the essence of what is happening. I hope that these political forces will gradually return to power, or they will take power in their own hands with the support of the vast majority of European countries.